The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're going to love it.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are well. All right, I had a wild day yesterday, and I thought I would share the two things that happened that were pretty crazy. Oh, man, and that's kind of what kept me from putting out an episode yesterday. So let me fill you in on what's going on. First of all, I am out of Instagram jail on the Deep Shallow Dive page, and we are starting to scale really nicely there. You know, it's pretty crazy the power of that algorithm, because when they put it, and I call it Instagram jail, but basically what happens is they stop referring your content or recommending your content in the various places. So you pretty much can't get discovered anywhere. And then secondly, it's called shadow banning, where basically, you know, even your followers don't end up necessarily seeing your content as frequently as they were before. So really your reach is minimal. I mean, you're putting out content, but nobody's really seeing it. Nobody's really discovering it. And I'll put that in perspective for you. So prior to, it was March 6th, I was basically growing on that page roughly 1,500 followers a day, which is a lot. I mean, that's pretty good, man. That had us on a nice clip. And then once that whole IG jail / shadow ban process happened, you know, it got to the point where I was basically losing 50 or 75 followers a day. It's really weird on Instagram. Like, you know, like for example, yesterday I gained 375 followers, but I lost 62. And it's like, what 62 people are unfollowing me? I don't know. Maybe they are. But I feel like this is where like the bots and the fake profiles and things like that come in, and maybe those just get discovered or they get discovered kind of every day, and I don't know, maybe they're deleted automatically or something like that. But anyway, good news is we're definitely running at full capacity. And so two interesting things happened. One is, so I got contacted by this guy, Rich Siegel, and the reason I share his name is because hopefully tomorrow's episode is going to be him. And so Rich is a Jewish American activist. Well, he's a bunch of things, but he's a Jewish American guy living in Teaneck, New Jersey. And this guy went viral for a speech he gave at the Teaneck town hall. And it's talking all about the illegal Israeli settlements in the West Bank and the selling of real estate in the West Bank. We've touched on this a little bit, and I won't spend too much time because, like I said, if I can get the episode edited for Friday, then that's going to be Friday's episode. But anyway, so and when I say it's gone viral, I mean this thing has seen over like 5 million views by now. And it originally started on Twitter. I think it received 500,000 views, and I'm going to play it for you in a second. You got 500,000 views on Twitter, and then it went on Instagram. And, you know, it's actually kind of a interesting case study in how this stuff happens, because here's the hilarious part. So he didn't even put it on Twitter originally. I guess somebody that was there at this town hall meeting was recording it, and then that person put it on their Twitter, and then this thing just skyrocketed. So it's actually, it kind of was an interesting sort of discussion to have with them, because again, it's almost like the dude went crazy viral without even realizing it and without even really doing anything about it. And when I say he went viral, I mean that clip then got forwarded and forwarded and forwarded and reposted and remixed and all those things. And then what happened was he started getting contacted by all these, media outlets. And I'm talking like big ones. Like he got on the local NBC or CBS affiliate. And then all these international networks basically started contacting him, like Al Jazeera, BBC. What else? He was on something called TRT World, and that's actually where I found him. So this is hilarious. So I saw his video on this platform called TRT World, which has like 3 million followers. And then we remixed that on the Deep Shallow Dive page. And that remix that I did got like, I don't know, like maybe 60,000 views or something like that. Anyway, his daughter saw that and they wanted the clip. So they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we saw that you have this clip and, we'd love to get a copy of it to put on our own Instagram page," or something like that. So obviously I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me see if I can download that for you." That's a process called remixing on Instagram where I don't necessarily have the file, but being the savvy dude that I am, I was able to figure out how to download the file. So I downloaded the file, I sent it to him, and then I was like, "Hey, you up for a quick chat?" And so we started talking. So he gave me his number. I called him. We started talking, and he basically kind of told me this whole story. And I'm like, "Man, this is nuts." He's like, "Yeah, I've done like 15 interviews, and I keep getting calls, and I'm getting all this publicity and all this whatever." So then I was like, "Dude, you want to do a podcast episode with me?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'd love to." He's like, what is this all about?" So I told him everything. And I said, more than anything, I go, "This is very interesting. And again, my goal will be to just give you, my platform and help you share kind of your perspective on things." So anyway, we ended up recording the podcast episode yesterday, which again it just came together so fast, but it was pretty cool. So let me play for you, because this is a little bit of a setup for the actual episode, but this is the clip that basically kind of started all this.
Hi, my name is Rich Siegel. I'm a 25-year homeowner here in Teaneck. I'm Jewish. The reason that I'm telling you that I'm Jewish is because I have a concern about something that's going on in the Jewish community. On March 10th, there is scheduled to be an Israeli real estate sales event at the Keter Torah synagogue.
All right, I promise this will be the last time I jump in. I just want to make sure you guys understand. So he's basically at his town council standing up and saying that, this Israeli real estate sales event where they're in Teaneck, New Jersey, but they're selling off land in Israel in the West Bank, which, by the way, is, this is a touchy subject and definitely debated topic, but according to, and he'll say it, international law, that land is not theirs to sell. And then they're only selling it to other Israeli people. So you have a foreign land sale on U.S. soil that is only allowed to be sold to a certain religious ethnicity.
That event violates both domestic law and international law. Violates domestic law because we had a Civil Rights Act in 1965 and a Fair Housing Act in 1968. We don't allow real estate events to be for whites only, for Jews only, or anybody only. Now, as Jews, we don't get to fly under the radar and break the law and hide it in a synagogue. It violates international law because West Bank settlement homes are going to be available for sale at this real estate event. On the website, it lists 3 different West Bank settlements. Those settlements are in and of themselves illegal by international law. If we allow this sale to go through, we are enabling a local synagogue to violate both domestic anti-discrimination laws and international law. Now, there's other reasons we shouldn't allow it, okay? There's a genocide going on right now. I don't care who that offends. More than 35,000 people have been killed. More than 13,000 children have been killed. People in this community are in deep mourning. People in this community are angry. I'm angry. What this real estate event is going to do is it's going to fan the flames. If it goes forward, there will be a demonstration. I know there's going to be a demonstration because I'm going to organize it. It will be very well attended. What I'm saying needs to be done is, I don't know how much power this mayor and this council have to actually shut down the event, but I know you have the power to recommend that it be shut down. And I'm asking you to please do it. We don't need to have more divisiveness in this community, okay? We don't need to have Jewish privilege rule the day by saying we're entitled to break the law and have this real estate event and not care about how so many people in this community feel about it. Thank you for letting me speak.
All right, so that was the clip. Man, so much emotion with this guy. Pretty insane. So anyway, long story short on that, we ended up recording the episode. It was pretty hardcore, and like I said, I am hoping to get it edited to basically release it tomorrow on Friday. So then from there, this is crazy. So then after that, I had another podcast interview with, I mean, how nuts is this? A Jewish rabbi who lives in Jerusalem, who basically lives near where all these land sales are happening in the West Bank. And not directly, but anyway, that guy, and that call was, that guy was in Jerusalem, so he's from Jerusalem. And again, what for me, honestly, is so fascinating, and what I'm really trying to stay focused on is, I absolutely want all sides of every perspective, and I want to bring you guys all sides of every perspective. And so the interview with Rabbi Moshe Zeldman, who, by the way, was such a nice guy, like super lovely. We had an awesome conversation, and our conversation really just focused on, I said, hey man, help us understand what being a rabbi is, and really give us your take on, we didn't really go into the Gaza stuff that much. We did talk about what October 7th felt like for him and his family, but I really wanted his perspective on, the real religious component of this. And I actually have a imam that I'm interviewing who is like the rabbi of the Muslim religion. And then I have a few Christianity guys. I'll call them Christianity guys. They're not priests or anything, but the one guy runs his own church, so that's going to be interesting. So anyway, I think I had mentioned I've got some good religious stuff coming, and again, it's all coming from a place of learning. It really is. It's all coming from a place of trying to provide some, not only some education, but I think by listening to these people's perspectives, I don't know, maybe we can understand each other a little bit better. So anyway, so I did the episode with Rabbi Zeldman. That was fascinating. And then this is the craziest part. Then I got contacted, again, this is all through Instagram, by the way. Then I got contacted by this young guy, and he goes by the name of Sam, and he's legit. I totally vetted him out and checked him out, and kind of he proved himself to me. Anyway, this kid is I guess he is kind of a kid because he's in his mid-20s. He lives in that area. He also lives in the West Bank, but he's Palestinian, and he wants to come on the podcast. And so I'm actually recording that episode later today, ironically. And so he wants to share his perspective on what's going on. And it's very interesting because, again, he's Palestinian. He's currently living with an Israeli, I think he's either living with an Israeli family or he works for an Israeli company, one of the two. Anyway, he has a interesting balanced perspective on things. And so I don't know what direction that call is going to take. But anyway, we're doing that interview later today. And then the crazy thing is, he's like, hey, it can only be audio. It's audio only. I can't do video. So I was like, okay, that's totally fine. I understand. And so, at first I was like, oh man, am I getting the wool pulled over my eyes? Is this guy really who he says he is? But I think he is. I mean, again, the funny thing is, it's like, what's he got to gain in terms of doing this, especially if he's not going to do the video stuff. So, oh man, crazy stuff with all this, right? But definitely interesting. It definitely is, hopefully, like I said, just informative and enlightening. And, it brings you more things that you can factor into your own knowledge base and make, I don't know, make the decisions, or not even the decisions, but understand things in a way that makes sense to you, and then decide kind of what is really going on. And so along those lines, I did want to read this. This is pretty interesting. More Instagram. Man, Instagram's crazy. Instagram got crazy as soon as the deep shallow dive got let out of jail. Okay, so this is from actually a good friend of mine. I am not going to mention her name. I think she's probably listening. So anyway, if she is, I will hear from her, I'm sure. But so there was this poll taken on Instagram through someone's profile. And I mean, this is pretty crazy. And it was by, again, this vetted person, right? And it looks like they took it on Twitter. And the poll had 52,479 people that voted in it. And it said, would you rather be kidnapped by the IDF? And the IDF is the Israeli Defense Forces. If you've been paying attention, you kind of know who they are. Or Hamas. And the results came in that 86% said they'd rather be kidnapped by Hamas, and 14% said they'd rather be kidnapped by the IDF. So think about that. Among that 52,000 person sample size, 86% said they'd rather be kidnapped by Hamas than the IDF. Again, I'm not passing any judgment. I'm just telling you what's going on here. So she copied that, sent it to me, and she said, wow, idiots, your followers are jackasses. And I wrote back, I said, hey, that was not my poll. I think I said that in the comment. I said I was just sharing that because I thought it was interesting. And so that was run by that organization. So that's not my poll. And then she wrote back and she said, not just that, but I got attacked on one of your posts. Most think America are colonizers and it's just fine to have millions coming through our border, et cetera, et cetera. I'm really discouraged by the mentality of so many that live in our country, and I'm really scared at what is happening here in our world right now. And I wrote her back and I said, hey, the Gaza issue is really complex and not at all comparable to what is going on at our southern border. These are totally apples versus oranges. The Gaza stuff goes back all the way to 1917. If you want to understand it, I can share things with you. I think you know me well enough by now to know I do my research and I know what I'm talking about. Gaza is nothing like what's taking place at the southern border, and it's also nothing like Ukraine or Russia either. The only thing it kind of resembles is what took place in South Africa, maybe, with the apartheid back like 40 years ago. So anyway, that's what I wrote her back. And obviously, again, I just wanted her to understand. Actually, you know what? It's not that I even wanted her to understand. I really didn't. But I was just wanting to explain that you can't conflate these issues. And by the way, she's amazing. I love her. Her heart's in the best place. She is like America through and through, which is great. Love that. Absolutely love that. But what's happening right now is there are so many just contrasting storylines that are taking place, and they're all getting intermixed and commingled with each other, and they shouldn't. And again, what I mean by that is, so she must have, I don't know what she posted on my thing and then what she got attacked. I'll have to ask her. But basically, I'm assuming, posted something about saying, well, look at what's going on at our border on something related to Gaza. And so obviously, whomever maybe, I don't know, verbally attacked her is because those issues are nothing alike. They're really nothing alike. You know, what's taking place on the southern border in the United States, that's not a problem that goes back to 1917. And that's not an issue that is as historically complex and honestly is historically agonizing. It's what's taking place in Gaza. That's something that, quite frankly, probably is, I don't know, maybe from the Trump years, 2016 to 2020, because he's the one that started building the wall. But it's really gotten bad and heated over the past 4 years from 2020 to now, where, you know, for those initial 3.5 years, it seemed like the Biden administration wasn't really paying any attention to our southern border. And then now, as we're getting into, again, the election, now all of a sudden it's a major problem, and there's all these, you know, things that are happening for that. But again, she tried to conflate those issues, and America being a colonizer or an imperialist, we're going to go into those. I'm going to do a separate episode on all that. That's a completely different and again, apples versus oranges with what's taking place in Gaza. But because everything is so polarized, and in many ways, everything is so partisan on Democratic and Republican lines. And, you know, I will share, she's Republican, and so she believes in everything on the Republican side. And so on the Republican side, they are, you know, against all the craziness at the border, but they're also 100% practically supportive of Israel, like unequivocally. And so again, for her, what I felt happened was that she's basically just listening to everything her party's saying without really doing the critical thinking on her own to see, like, okay, I agree with my party in this situation, but this situation, okay, that's slightly different. Maybe I have different thoughts. And again, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she doesn't have different thoughts, but I know for a fact she's not done any research on the Gaza situation, because she sent me so many things, and I don't reply to most of them, but that one I felt the need to kind of get back to her and say, hey, listen, if you were interested in actually learning about this, I can send you some things to listen to, and then from there you decide what makes sense to you. So, oh man, it is really this situation's getting wilder and wilder, and I don't know where it's going now. You know, you've got Netanyahu. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me play this.
Earlier today, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu put out a video attacking the United States for not sending him bombs fast enough.
But I also said something else. I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel.
No doubt we will hear similar complaints when he addresses Congress on July 24th.
The administration is working day and night to remove these bottlenecks. I certainly hope that's the case.
The Israeli government did not and does not have the right to go to war against the entire Palestinian people, and yet that is exactly what has happened.
Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies.
Let's be clear. The right-wing extremist Netanyahu government has killed more than 37,000 Palestinians and injured nearly 85,000.
And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job a lot faster.
All right, so that was a mix-up or a mashup with him and Bernie. And man, Bernie hates that dude. He really does. But anyway, the biggest thing from Netanyahu's speech that I plucked out of this, listen to this.
Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies.
Fighting against Iran and our other common enemies. So notice he didn't say Hamas. So he did not say fighting against Hamas. That's who he wants the weapons for. Now he's like, oh, we're fighting against Iran. And I swear to God, this is not me being biased about anything. I'm just like, I'm telling you guys, like, I think that is the path it is trying to go down. That's the path he's trying to go down, an all-out war with Iran. And then that is World War III. Like maybe what's taking place now is not the entree. Maybe this is heading us in that direction. And then would that disrupt the election? Would that cause the United States to go in full steam and cancel an election? I don't know, man. I don't know. But you guys know I like repeating myself with phrases. So I'll repeat myself with a phrase that I do like to say, and it's plausible. It's plausible. I mean, it is plausible. Come on, everything's plausible. Honestly, everything's plausible. If after the past 4 years you do not think everything is plausible, I think you should think everything is plausible, because I think everything is plausible. It's been like one insane thing after another. Anyway, the other part of that, which was interesting, so after Netanyahu came out with that video, so the White House canceled a meeting. It says the White House canceled a high-level U.S.-Israel meeting on Iran that was scheduled for Thursday after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a video on Tuesday claiming the U.S. was withholding military aid, two officials told Axios. Let me read you a little more of this. Why it matters. President Biden's top advisors were enraged by the video, a message U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein delivered personally to Netanyahu in a meeting hours after it was published. Then the White House decided to go a step further by canceling Thursday's meeting. Anyway, man, who knows? Who knows what's going on? But this is, well, who knows what's going on, but this is what's going on. So anyway, I hope that I can get the episode with Rich published on Friday. I'm going to really try for that. If not, there might be a backup guest interview, or maybe not. And maybe depending on what happens in the news, I might do another one of these guys. But that's it, man. Pay attention. Hopefully this stuff is informative. Keep the feedback coming in. I'm really loving it all. And call that spade a spade.
The ending was terrific.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.